One of the best things about being part of an online community around a game or TV show is seeing all the amazing creations, theories, ideas and analysis other members put forward. For me personally, I love the art, edits and in-depth analysis people make about my favourite characters. Being able to express other people's work about a topic you really like can also enhance your understanding of your favourite characters or add to the world building. Today we're going to talk about Subtextually, someone very deep into the Love and Deepspace community who has taken many hours over the course of months to work on a fan project for Sylus, only to have it completely hijacked, criticise and have its purpose completely spun out of control, claiming that she is the source of people's frustration with the game, that she is perpetuating the notion Infold is using AI for translations, some people even going as far to imply she is lying about her background and credentials. This chaotic mess of misinformation has reached the CN community, the loudest voices in Love and Deepspace, who are now criticising her passions and her skill, all because of a misunderstanding of what she is trying to create with her passion project. I first want to go ahead and clarify that this video was made with the express permission of Subtextually. We spoke yesterday, and I feel as though she deserves to have her work properly understood, and I hope this adequately reaches the ears of the CN community. So, who is Subtextually? She is a native Chinese and English speaker. She is someone trained in a PhD program in literary and linguistic theory and criticism. It's very clear she has the credentials and experience to back up the work they have been making. They started playing Love and Deepspace because of Sylus, and they quickly grew to really love and appreciate his character and personality. They noticed very quickly, however, that there were differences between the EN and CN versions of the game. They noticed there were significant nuances that could change certain meanings of context around Sylus's dialogue, his relationship with the MC, and even the language used to describe power systems surrounding him. Because of this, they started their own personal hobby project to translate the simplified Chinese version of the game into English that included some of the missing context or corrections that made his dialogue more meaningful in the CN version. Initially, they did this for their own personal reference, but after some time, they shared some of their findings on Discord. They began to express how they felt it was unfortunate a lot of Chinese cultural references and contexts were either removed or changed in the EN version, as they can deepen the meaning of the situation between the characters, so they began to include notes around this missing context for the EN audience to enjoy. It is very clear they began to undertake this project out of a passion for Sylus, a love for Chinese culture, and a huge appreciation for the linguistic complexities of the language that they really wanted to share with others who might not be able to understand those nuances that can add to Sylus's character. And then, a week ago, they finally officially posted and released the Sylus translation project over on Reddit and Twitter for all to see. The project was initially well received by people on Reddit, expressing their gratitude and thanking Subtextually for her hard work and effort. People really did appreciate these subtleties and nuances they felt enhanced his character for them. They even said it taught them so many things about Chinese culture and literature. All was well, however there was one comment that caught a lot of attention and began to spread some negative discourse. It caught on like wildfire, spreading through Reddit and Twitter quicker than the translation project itself could. There was one individual who claimed they put the CN translation of the game into ChatGPT and came to the conclusion that Infold and the localization team had been using this for Sylus. This is where I entered the picture, and I figured this would need testing before people started making baseless claims like this. It was all I saw over social media that day. Everyone claiming Sylus was AI translated, doom posting that the Sylus the EN audience got was a lesser version than that of CN counterpart, that players felt they had been duped into falling for a man that wasn't accurate to canon, all because of AI. Suddenly, the lines between this AI rhetoric, Twitter doom posting about Sylus's personality, and Subtextually's translation project all blurred into what can only be described as one of the biggest crash outs I've ever seen over a character. Because of this mess and the initial comments being under Subtextually's initial post, many people equated that to her being the one to claim that AI was used in the localization process. Everything was a perfect storm for chaos, misinformation, and misinterpretation. I will admit, I was also someone involved in this chaos. I made a video with the initial intention to debunk this misinformation and prove on camera that this was a completely baseless claim. However, I failed to recognize that my want to dispel the myth of the AI claims meant that I was drowning out the message of the project itself, which is something I now recognize and understand. People looked at my thumbnail and thought I was agreeing that AI was used for Sylus, when that wasn't my intention at all. In fact, it was the opposite. I have since changed the title of this video for clarification and want to take accountability for this. Many people, and I like to think the majority of people on the EN side, praised Subtextually for their work. However, there were individuals who started to claim that what she was doing was damaging. To some, they felt like Sylus was ruined for them, that they felt cheated out of a character and blamed her for this. Others decided to put Infold staff on blast, shaming their localization team. It's important to keep in mind, none of that is Subtextually's fault that the people feel or acted in this way. Let's take a pause for a minute and clarify some terms. Translation versus localization. Translation is the process of converting text from one language to another while preserving its original meaning and authenticity to the source material. It is a direct swap of words or phrases to convey exact meanings as best as possible. Localization is the process of adapting a translation and formatting it in a way that will fit a specific culture or audience. It goes far beyond the language itself. It also means idioms, metaphors, and cultural references have to be changed or removed entirely so that the work can be understood by the target audience. Both are very, very difficult to do and require a huge amount of understanding of both languages. So that is the key difference. Translation is about preserving meaning between languages, while localization is about making sure it feels native to the target audience. There are some who are aware of these differences, but there are many people who conflate the two. So when they hear someone is doing a retranslation project, they might not immediately assume they mean it is a direct, literal translation. We would never hear people say, "Oh, I prefer the localization of CN Sylus." We would, however, hear people say, "Oh, I prefer the CN translations of Sylus." And I think this is where a lot of people began to misinterpret the true meaning and intention behind Subtextually's work. Let's not forget, most of us have no clue about the intricacies of translation, localization, or linguistics. Subtextually never meant to relocalize Sylus, and this is the core of what people are misunderstanding here. Their aim has always been to give a direct, literal translation from the CN source, and add in notes about Chinese idioms, cultural references, and reinstate removed contexts that don't appear for EN. But news of this translation project hit the shores of the CN community, and this is where the story takes yet another turn deeper into the already spiraling chaos. Members of the CN community on Rednote, Xiaohongshu, began to completely attack and misconstrue Subtextually's work. first, they started claiming that she was the one who started the AI claim, when in fact she was the loudest voice on Twitter or X telling people it wasn't AI. Secondly, they started belittling her credentials, claiming her knowledge of English and understanding of languages are poor for someone who is a localization expert, which she never claimed to be. They even went as far to say that her translations might be the ones AI generated because she intentionally translated everything so literally without the localization. They made many claims that her work was poorly worded because it was too literal, that people shouldn't be angry at Infold or the localization team if this is now their EN alternative, and instead they should feel ashamed for attacking the Infold team and instead should praise them for their hard work. They completely misunderstood the fact that Subtextually was not in fact trying to relocalize Sylus, but just to literally translate him faithfully from the source material to provide more context. Most people don't want an overhaul of Sylus. They just want to make sure he is a man with the same personality across all versions and instances of him in the game. If you're watching this on Xiaohongshu, I hope you can find the attached statement from Subtextually and that it provides more context and clarification on the situation. It is not fair to continue to criticize her based on false information, especially someone who has been very supportive on the localization team for Love and Deepspace. People from the CN community began to leave comments belittling Subtextually and her work due to lies and misinformation spread by some individuals on Xiaohongshu who apparently don't even have a good understanding of English themselves. They even mistook a cultural explanation for the number 4 for criticism, and couldn't tell the basic difference in nuances between the different English phrases, instead saying that her grasp of both languages is so poor that she couldn't see the phrases had the same meaning, when any native English speaker can tell you that is 100% incorrect. They also mistook theory she posted after performing literary analysis as her spreading misinformation, essentially villainizing her. Then, eventually, this all came back to the EN community in the form of a Reddit post. While this Reddit post is largely in support of Subtextually's work, they failed to address the blatant lies and inaccuracies the OP had included in it from the CN community, only showing the most sensationalized and incorrect information, and also intentionally left out some CN fans that defended her, which could lead people to assume that they also believe what the CN posters were claiming. They even included my thumbnail and title, yet failed to mention the true contents was to debunk the claim of AI. Again, this was just another layer added to the chaos pile. It's ironic that the post that was trying to clarify misinformation was one that actually added to it instead, and OP unintentionally had added to the pot. Finally, we reach our conclusion. Subtextually put out a post clarifying the whole situation, which I have linked in the description below. You can even see proof of her working on the translations, completely debunking the CN claim that she was the one who was using AI. In the post, she goes on to say that 1. The Sylus translation project is not a localization project. It is a more literal translation project to add linguistic nuance. 2. The project exists because she is in love with Sylus's source material and highly praises Infold's writing team. She wanted to share the source material with everyone, as a lot of cultural and linguistic context was missing in the EN version. 3. The project is literally translated because she was trained to believe fidelity to language meaning, and that culture emphasizes linguistic nuances. The project is a celebration of Chinese culture, language, and myth, and is meant to be an educational supplement for global Sylus fans who do not have any of this background and can't understand the way Chinese fans can. 5. It is also a comparative literary supplement for global fans who want to be able to perform comparative literary analysis between different versions. In order to be able to do that, fans need as literal a translation as possible so they can analyze the language themselves. The project is not machine translated, it is manually and very literally translated. At the end, they conclude, "I hope we can walk away from this with appreciation and love for Sylus, and I hope that the conversations we have moving forward can focus more on either the complexity of the writing and linguistic nuances, or otherwise engage in thoughtful and measured comparative analysis that is respectful and even-handed." Check out her full extended response below in the description. Make sure you upvote it and share wherever you can. Many people got the wrong impression amidst the chaos, and it's only fair to make sure they are heard out themselves in full clarity. Thank you guys for listening to this explanation of the whole situation. I hope this has accurately portrayed it in as best as I can, and that you take away from this a far clearer and true understanding of everything that has happened about this whole thing. I appreciate you all very dearly for all your comments, feedbacks, and even recent criticisms about my work. I am fully aware about the things that I need to improve in my content going forward, and that is something I am going to be explaining in my next video. Thank you so much. If you like this, please leave a like, a comment down below, and subscribe. Make sure you go and support Subtextually. All the links are in the description. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.